Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. We are going to speak about how to create winning press releases for your products. So we're going to wait for a few minutes until more people are joining. If you can use the chat and let us know who you are and what company you're here with, and we will be just waiting a few more minutes.
And also, if you can let us know if you've done press releases before, it would be great to see.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
What sort of experience you've all got. Who's going to be the first to say hello? Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Louise. Nice to see you. Have you done press releases before?
Lots of you today.
That's great. That's good. We've got a few pro tips. Oh, hi, Aggie. Bombay Duck. We love Bombay Duck. Nice to see you. And yeah, I hear that you're new to the team, so it's nice to see you. Oh, hi, Eleanor. You've been chatting a bit with Chris, maybe? Oh.
Okay, so we have
Nikki, I know Nikki well. Steve and I met Nikki from Border in a Box, a lovely gardening design kit many years ago, and we chatted about
I remember actually, yeah. So we have a few more people joining, so we're just going to wait a few more minutes.
Hi, everyone. Oh, lovely. Okay, someone with no experience, which is lovely. So you'll get absolutely tons, hopefully, from this press release. Hi, Claire. Hi, Abby, Walls and Floors. Great, nice to see everyone.
Nice.
Okay, I think
I think
saying hello as we chat, and then Celine can do the intro. So
yeah, sure. So today we will be speaking about how to create winning press releases for your products. For the people that don't know me, I'm Celine and I'm the marketing manager at Pressloft, and then we're here today with Nikki, which is a Pressloft founder.
Hi.
And most people will have heard from Chris and Dana, which are the customers. Everybody's speaking to them almost on a daily basis. So we just wanted to introduce them to you today. They will be in the chat. So Chris and Dana will be in the chat answering all of your questions today. And Nikki and I will do the webinar. So I think we're going to make a start now. So if Dana and Chris, you can just go to the chat now.
Bye.
I'm going to start sharing my screen with you. Up. Can you see my screen?
Perfect. Yeah, lovely.
Nice. Okay, so let's start with the webinar. Okay, so today we are going to speak about what is a press release, how to pick the products to write about from your shop. We will walk through the press release structure and give you lots of different tips on how to do that. And then how to send a press release using Pressloft. It's just a really short demo, 2 or 3 minutes. And then Nikki gathered some really good press release examples. And then later on, after the webinar, I will send you a link where you can just download some PDF and then also a promo code. So what is, just going to start with what is exactly a press release. So a press release is an email that is sent out to announce something that is newsworthy to journalists. So it's anything that a journalist will want to hear about from you. The other thing is that you need to remember that journalists actually need you. They want to hear from brands, PRs, and online shop from the newest products, the newest collections. So there is some belief that journalists actually don't read press release, but they do. They need you to send the news out. So please remember that when you send a press release, if you have the right title and the right information, and we'll speak about that today, you will potentially get coverage. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also, we just wanted to ensure you that you don't need to be an amazing writer when you send a press release out. We are going to give you some really, really good tips today to just find the right structure and what to speak about in your press release. So don't be afraid if it's your first time sending a press release. You know, everybody can do it. It just doesn't have to be really complicated.
So now I'm just going to cover very briefly why use Pressloft to send press releases out. So ordinarily, if you weren't using Pressloft, you would have to research the journalists, you'd have to find the publication to write on, you would have to discover their email addresses, then you'd have to just write the press release, then you'd have to send out either a mail merge or one by one. You'd have to wait for the responses from the journalist to send out a high-res image. And then if you were lucky enough to get some coverage, then you'd be looking for the media, you're hiring a media monitoring agency or checking the press yourself. But with Pressloft, we're all about making things really, really simple. So you don't have to do any of the research phase because we have a massive network of journalists. You do have to still write the press release, but we've given you a nice, easy few templates to follow. And then you don't need to send the images out to journalists because they can access them straight away themselves. And also we've got Hannah in the lovely media monitoring team who scan the press and let you know when you're featured. Now, we don't do the entire number of journalists that use us, the entire number of publications. We do around about 30 to 50% per territory. So you will get a good example if you have some coverage as well. So hopefully we'll save you a ton of time. And then the other part of it is that we do international press release distribution. So you can send your translations to the journalists and then they're matched to the right journalist in the right territory. It means that you don't need to hire a PR agency in every territory or do that global journalist research as well if you do ship internationally. And then we get roughly 2 to 10 pieces of coverage per press release, depending on when you send it out and what it's about and if the timing's right. But what we're trying to do today in this webinar is really push you up to the higher levels of press coverage with a few tips and tricks that we'll guide you through. So the first part of deciding what you're going to write about is picking which products to promote. So first and foremost, as Celine sort of mentioned, it's all about the new products first. So new product launches, new collections, anything news, journalists love news. So it's about what's new, but the vast majority of us don't produce new products every month. So for older products, you can use something called a hook. So a hook is a way to hook a journalist into opening your press release. And this is by associating your products with articles they're going to be working on right now. And there's a few different types of hooks which are particularly useful for product type businesses that most of you have. So on the next slide, Celine, it just says, so we've got key dates, we've got trends, and we've got colors. So I'm just going to talk you through each one of those in turn now. So first of all, we've got seasons. So you've got spring, summer, autumn, winter. You've got wedding season, festival and travel and holiday season, and tons more, but that's the kind of grouping that we're looking at here. So I've just given you some examples. So if you sold cushions or throws, that sort of thing, instead of just saying new throws launched or throw collection from company name, you could say new throws for cozying up at winter. So the hook is about being cozy because that's what the journalist will be writing about at that moment. Similarly, on the next slide, you've got, if you sold bags, just instead of saying I'm new raffia bags launched, you can say top bag ideas for summer traveling. Again, it's that hook. It's just going to get that press release opened a bit more often. The next type of key date are the gifting seasons. So if any of you own a gifting brand, you'll be all over these and you know when they happen. But Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day are probably the biggest ones, and Valentine's actually as well, that we work on. And so some examples here of positioning your products around the gift guides are, on the next slide. Yeah. So if you sell driving today, so it's a little
my computer is a bit out of sync. So.
We'll get there. So we've got floral products. If you sell floral products of any description, then your angle might be top floral Mother's Day ideas. And then if you sell something for dads, these lovely cactuses here or cacti, their angle might be the best eco gift for Father's Day. So you've got eco angle and the Father's Day angle. And then trends. So if you sell an interiors product, furniture, any type of home accessory, then trends are very, very important as a way for you to generate loads of additional press releases, press coverage from older products as well as any new launches too. So you must keep an eye on trends. So an example of a press release title would be, instead of just saying new living room accessories launched, if you said new tone on tone living room accessories, then you're going to get loads more coverage from that press release. Tone on tone being one of the key trends this season. Now, trend research here, there's loads of places that you can research. As shop owners, you'll be aware of many of them anyway, and maybe even feel like you're creating your own trends. But just generally, there's some great places to research trends. So fashion shows and design weeks, you tend to get loads of coverage about what's coming after that. So do look out on Google for all sorts of reports there. Pinterest trends, we love following that. You get loads of random trends there as well, but you get some gems to look for. On our blog and our newsletter, which you can sign up for, I think Dana and Chris might send you a link in the chat. There's we always publish trends each month and share them with journalists, and they're really effective as a way to generate more coverage. And then we work with Top Drawer, and I know that they work with trend forecasters, but most trade shows also work with trend forecasters, and they publish these trends on their blog. So keep an eye on them. There are all sorts of free ways to research.
Yeah, and actually, I think a couple of weeks ago, or in September, we published trend blog post with all of the trends for 2021. So those are based on downloads from journalists and our own research. So Dana and Chris will be sharing the link to in the chat.
And then colour trends are absolutely massive as a way to generate more and more coverage. And it's looking like colour trends are becoming much more popular as a topic for journalists to write about over the years as well. So I think it was in 2018, Pantone's colour of the year was Living Coral. That we did a trend on that. So on the front of our site, we curate different trends and we put products from our clients all together to generate more coverage for them. And that trend got 2,000 downloads. Then last year, 2019, the Pantone was Classic Blue. That trend got 7,000 downloads within the first few weeks. So that's probably 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 pieces of coverage from that one page on our site. It's huge. So, and I also did some research of the top 20 press releases last year. Of those top 20, 3 of them mentioned Pantone Colour of the Year in the title, and they were released within that first week of the Pantone Colour of the Year coming out. So it is a very, very hot topic. It's not just Pantone Colour of the Year, but that is for us the most popular topic. We've got WGSN, they release colours every year in colour palettes. There's also Dulux Colour of the Year, that's coming out, and that's becoming more and more popular as well, actually. And then Benjamin Moore's just started doing one. So colour trends are a big topic, and you can definitely generate tons more coverage from your press releases by using them.
Yeah, and we gave some tips also last year on how to associate the color of the year with some other colors. So if you don't have the right color tone, for instance, for the color of the year, Pantone color of the year, you can just try to find accessories or colors that will go really well with that color, and then just create your own collection or your own press release, and just send a press release out about the colors that goes really well with that color.
The sort of complementary palettes to the colour of the year work really well. Yeah, that's a great topic for a press release. Yeah. So not only do you have the trend colours that are specifically of that moment, you've also got seasonal colours, so colours that journalists write about every year. So every year in the spring editions of publications and in blog posts, you're going to get pastel coloured products that are heavily featured. So you might want to choose to promote your pastel homewares for spring, for example. In the same vein, so in summer you've got vibrant colours and big tropical patterns. So maybe tropical cushions to give your home a summertime boost would be a sort of press release idea. And then you've got moving on to autumnal colours and then the winter colours as well. So you just get the idea that, you know, it's not just about, it's about repurposing those old products in existing colours at certain seasons, and it works really well.
Yeah, so one of the things about sending a press release, it's all about timing. So it's so critical when you're sending out a press release that you understand the lead times and what journalists are working on. So the lead time is the difference between the date when a journalist is actually starting working on a subject and the time where the article is coming out and it's being published. So we just summarize the long lead and the short leads for you. So the long lead will be monthly print magazines. So in general, they work between 2 to 4 months in advance. And then for Christmas, it's always a bit more, it's always earlier. So you need to count between 5 to 6 months in advance. And then I think, Nikki, you mentioned you've done some analysis for this year, and it was very unusual. It started very early Christmas this year, and it's still being worked on right now for monthly publications.
Yeah, really unusually long season. In part because a lot of those titles, monthly titles, now write online as well, and it can be content online. So that's quite interesting, and that's really becoming more and more prevalent. But also, it started in May this year. I've never ever in my whole career known Christmas to start in multiple publications in May. Normally there's the odd one, the outlier, but it was really odd. And we haven't got a reason why, actually. I wish I had a big sort of grand reason, but we don't know.
So just to keep in mind, in general, if you want to get coverage in monthly publications, get your images ready between June, July, to get the best chances to target those publications. So just a few examples of monthly magazines and long leads will be Living, etc., Red, Elle Decoration. So if you wanted to get featured in those publications, you will have to get your images ready and send a press release out of 2 to 4 months in advance. And then the short leads are just daily, weekly newspapers and magazines, news, websites, blogs, social influencers. So those have really, really short deadlines. So sometimes you will see, even on Pressloft, you get downloaded today, and then you get a notification that your images have been featured the same day. So those will be blogs and social influencers, but you also have the daily and weeklies that are working 2 to 4 weeks in advance. And just a few examples will be The Times, Decorate, and such on.
Yeah, so just to let you know that lead times are a whole spectrum. So there's not all long leads and all short leads. Every magazine and journalist and blogger have different leads, and sometimes the same journalist has different lead times as well. So in terms of a decision on when to send that press release, partly it's about what you want to target. If you want to target the long leads, then send it to the long lead sort of period. If you want to particularly work on newspapers because you know that they make the most difference for your business, then you pick that lead time. Some people who spend more time on PR would do the same press release to the long leads and the short leads. On Pressloft, we don't segment, so some people send the same press release to twice. I mean, the dream is that you send one press release to the one journalist at the right time with a personal email, but we all know that that's very unlikely that someone would have the time to do that. So you kind of have to make the decision based on your own experience and your own time frames in terms of what you want to spend on and prioritize.
So now we're going to move on to how to structure your press release, and we're going to give you a few really good tips. So the first most important part and critical part of your press release will be the headline, which is the title of your press release, but also the subject line, because your press release will be distributed on email. This needs to tell journalists what your press release is all about. They need to open this email when they see the title. So it needs to be quite short. So 5 to 10 words is by far the most popular length of a title. And I think, Nikki, you've done some analysis from over 3,000 press releases, and this was your analysis. 5 to 10 words is the most popular.
Yeah, so anything lower than under 5 words, you're not going to have enough information for the journalist to get a sense of what's in it and to hook them to open it. Anything longer than 10, it just gets a little bit lost, and that they get sent, hundreds, if not thousands of press releases a week. So you have a minute amount of time to get their attention and get them to click. So that's why that 5 to 10 seems to be the optimum level. And the data says that as well.
And then the second tip is also to include words like launch, new, include the product collection if you have any, the season or the event. And then just the thing to keep in mind is that journalists sometimes keeps press releases in their inbox for a really long time. So don't be discouraged if you don't get an answer straight away. Sometimes it might take, a week, 2 weeks, maybe, 3 to 4 months to actually get a reply from journalists. But this is why your headline is very critical, because when they're looking for instance, gift for Mother's Day, if you have that in your press release title, they will be able to find in the email your press release. So we have just picked 3 really good press release titles. So the first one is from Lights for Fun. So it's Lights for Fun launches 2020 autumn collection. So as you can see, it's quite short. You have launch, you have 2020 autumn collection. So when the journalist is receiving this press release, they should have, and they will have all of the information they need to see what's inside that press release. And if they're working on autumn and winter, they will open the press release, the email, to check what's inside.
Yeah, so there's a question about whether you use your company name in the press release title. For the very large brands, I would definitely recommend it because they've already got that brand awareness with the journalist, so that will, you know, sort of tick that box. If you're just starting out in PR or your brand's quite new, you don't need to use your word count up with your company name. If you do have some spare words, then pop it at the end perhaps, but Lights for Fun, well known, and it's also got the term lights in there, so they don't actually mention what their autumn collection is, that it's actually new lighting, but it's quite obvious from their company name that it is lights, so it ticks that box.
And then we have the second one, so it's new linen produce bags, plastic-free kitchen storage. So again, pretty short title with everything that needs to be in there. So it's new linen produce bags, plastic-free kitchen storage. So you have, again, all of the information about what the press release is all about. And then the last one is Tom Radfield launches customizable pendant lighting systems. This is a really hard one for me to say. But again, you have the company name, and again, Nikki mentioned that if you're well known, you might want to include your company name in the press release title, just because journalists might be more willing to open the email. And then launch, launch, and then it's pendant lighting system, and then it's customizable. So, there you go.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting. I mean, it's quite an unusual product type, and well-known designer, so that would have done really well for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what's important to see is that there's not big play on words here. It's not about being clever. It's not about, being this massive, amazing creative writer that's come up with this amazing title. It's just factual. And I think that's why it's really important to be reassured that you don't need to be this incredible writer. Mm-hmm. And the journalists want to create those articles in the way that they want to write them, not the way you're writing them anyways. It's just about presenting the facts to them.
Mm-hmm. So the next bit will be about summarizing the key message. So you need to include the key trends of season on the top of your press release, so the first paragraph. If it is new, if it's a new product, just try to repeat it there. And then try to add some information like the collection name, the key features of the product. So if it is eco-friendly, sustainable, made in the UK, so anything that has to do with your collection and the important key message. And then don't forget to include the company name on your first paragraph, just again to tell the journalist who you are, and just as a reminder for them.
Oh, just to let you know, we have a template for the press release as well that we'll be sending to you after the webinar. So you don't need to take notes about all of this. Mm-hmm. And it will just be a really easy thing for you to follow in an A4 PDF.
So the next part will be all about images, and I'm sure you will know that journalists love to have images in the press release, and we encourage everyone on PressLove to include images on the press release. It's just almost a make or break for press release. You need to have images. So in this example, we have selected Get the Look, and you can see that most journalists will be using cutout images to get those features out. So if you wanted to get into gift guides or Get the Look, you will need to include cutout images. And I think we always say that it's between 70% of coverage includes cutout images, and then 30% is lifestyle images. So if you're trying to push a certain range of product on your press release, just remember to include cutout images if you can.
Yeah, so cut out first, then if you are lucky enough to be able to afford a great shoot, then add them in too. The lifestyle images tend to get you the meteor sort of feature publications or the pieces in the titles. Bloggers actually love lifestyle images, and also you're more likely to get a front cover as well from that. So it's really important that you invest in really good quality imagery that's cut out from the background and then placed on a pure white background. if you photograph your products on a white background but then don't cut them out, they just don't tend to make the articles quite as much as the ones that are cut out on that pure white background. They're just more versatile for the journalists to use in their articles, like here.
So the next bit will be about developing the story. So anything that has to do with the material dimension, the prices are very important, just because sometimes journalists will want to have the prices, because if your products are too expensive, they might not want to include them in the features. So pricing is very, very important.
Yeah, it's not just about not wanting to include you if you're too expensive. It's that they can't include you if you have no pricing. They have house sort of guidelines. Certain titles can't feature products that are too expensive, but likewise some titles prefer to feature luxury items. If you can't include a price, put a range in if possible. If you just can't include a price because of internal reasons, then that's absolutely fine. Still send your press release out. You just will get slightly less coverage in certain titles.
And then the next bit will be about how your product is different. If your collection is inspired by something specific, try to mention that in this paragraph, just because, again, it will inspire the journalists to write about your products and give them more information about how it's made and all of that. So the next bit will be about the company details or launch information. So again, if you're launching a new collection, you want to put the collection launching date on your press release, but also try to put a short summary about your company and what you're all about.
Yeah, so some larger companies do press releases before their products are available in the shops. You can do that, and it's fine as a strategy. The smaller brands, it's just about making sure that your products are 100% available on publication date. So just be aware that if you are going to do that, you absolutely need to guarantee that that product is available when the publication comes out. And a journalist might feel a bit wobbly about including you if you weren't very sure about that.
Yeah, we do have a lot of clients that actually send a press release about the new range on the launching date. So if your launching date is tomorrow, then you might want to send a press release when it's all launched. Contact details. So name, email address, phone number, and website, very obvious one. But if you're using Pressoft, you know already that we include all of those informations directly on your press release. But if you're doing it not using Pressoft, just remember to include those in your press release. And then the last bit will be samples and shoots. So if you have samples available, mention that on your press release, because this is going to increase your coverage by up to 50%. Journalists love to have products for shoots sometimes. So this will increase your chances of being featured and getting coverage.
But just so that you know that the vast majority of people don't send samples out. Most people don't have budget for it, so don't be discouraged if you don't. Just be aware that if you do, that it can massively increase the amount of coverage that you get. So now I wanted to talk about a slightly different style of press release. So the ones that we've just discussed are more about product-based press releases. So getting your products in those get the looks and gift guides and that sort of thing. And then if you want to get into more feature-led articles, then you're going to be looking at expert testimonials and top tips. So now I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So first of all, you need to be focused on what you want to be known for. This is very obvious, but if you sell gardening products, you might want to look at something like caring for garden furniture. If you sell furniture itself, internal furniture, you might be doing something along choosing sofas for a small living room. If you sell gifts, maybe look at which toys are the top sellers this year and your predictions for next year. And then also with homeware, you can predict trends. And we've discussed a lot about how popular trends are. Put your predictions together for the following year, and that can make a great press release. I'm just going to give you now a breakdown of which styles of expert tips and testimonials, that sort of thing that you can do. So the first one are how-tos. Very straightforward. How do you do something? How to choose a sofa for an awkward space is a great one. And then there's an example here again from Lights for Fun. They write great press releases. They did a press release all about how to style a table for autumn. So absolutely brilliant. You've got your season in there, you've got your how-to, and all their product range is displayed beautifully as well. So they called that one 3 Essential Elements for an Autumnal Table Setting, which was a lovely press release. And then you've got top tips, so very similar, but just a slightly different phrase. And it's a bit more of a listicle style. So top 5 tips for choosing gifts for teenagers. There are some stats that if you put a number, put it in a numerical format, and also choose an odd number. I don't know why, but stats say that gets more clicks. So it's the same consumer and sort of this press release style. It's very similar statistics. And then we've got Q&A. So you might want to interview someone in your team, the founder or creative director perhaps. And an example I've given is a Q&A for choosing wallpaper for a dark room. And then another one are, so trends. We keep talking about trends because they're so important, but what's selling well in your shop? What do you predict for next year is really important. We recommend to most clients that they try and do something in November, but in your industry, what do you think's coming for the following year? Those topics do really well. They're normally in the top 10 most popular press releases of the year when you do those. And then the other big part of this is looking at what's in the news at the moment and forming an opinion piece on it. So what's your opinion of something in the news, or just hooking your products into a news-based angle. So there's 2 examples here. The opinion piece is, an example is Ludlow Stoves. I think they may be watching today, I'm not sure. They did a lovely press release last year on are stoves going to be banned? So a really hot topic about wood-burning stoves. They put their opinion in there. They used DEFRA quotes and the government position and stuff. So that was a really great press release, perfect for their brand and their commentary on that. And then another one is, we actually wrote this press release with this client. So this was for Peg and Board. And this was sent at the beginning of lockdown, so the end of March, just as everyone was thrust into home working. There were articles left, right and centre on how to style your home office and how to work from home effectively. So we did a press release with her called 6 Home Office Storage Tips from Peg and Board. And that one was picked up by publications in 7 countries, I think it was. It was hugely popular for her.
Yeah, and actually, if you're on Pressloft, remember that we have you have international settings that you can activate on your backend. We did a webinar a few weeks ago actually on how to activate those. But if you wanted to get press coverage internationally, just remember that you have options on Pressloft to do that.
So who can be the spokesperson? So typically it's someone involved in that product or that process. So the founder in a smaller business, it could be the creative director, the buyer. And you can use a marketing person. It's just preferable if you could have someone who's involved in the product itself. And then the lovely thing about these style sort of expert press releases is that they make absolutely brilliant blog posts and content for your customers anyway. In the reverse, there's a lovely client on with us at the moment called Beddable, and we recommended that they repurpose their existing blog posts that were all around these kind of expert tips as press releases. So it can go both ways, but it's great because you're writing this one thing and it can go in a few directions for the company as well.
So now we are going to show you how to send a press release using Pressloft. So it will just be about 2 to 3 minutes. So I'm sure most of you, I'm going to stop sharing this screen for a second. So most of you have, you can send press release if you have an account on Pressloft. So if you have a press release, just try to use it on a monthly basis. They really will get you these extra pieces of coverage. If you don't have press release using Pressloft as part of your account, you can send a one-off press release for £45. Yeah, anytime really from the backend. You can just buy the press release directly from your account, and then after the webinar, I will be sharing a promo code with you on the link. So can you see this, Nikki?
Yeah.
Good. So just wanted to quickly show you how easy it is to get your press release set up on Pressloft. So here's the headline. So again, this is just a test demo account. Just remember to select your international settings here if you wanted to send that to international journalists.
Oh, and just to let you know, if you don't translate your press release because you haven't got any translation capabilities, it will just go out in whichever language you've first chosen to the journalist in that local language. If not, then it's matched correctly according to the journalist settings.
Yeah, and then also we didn't mention anything about how journalists are receiving your press release, but they have 2 options. So it's to receive the press release straight away, or on a daily summary. So this will you will be able to to see that on your stat. Like when you send your press release straight away, you might need to come a few days after to actually see the full stats.
Yeah, most journalists opt in to get a daily summary rather than one-to-one. We just send so many out otherwise. And they also view them online. So some don't. We have about 8,000 opt-in just in the UK alone, and then I think it goes up to about 12,000 if you tick some international settings. And they can all see them online if they don't. So we've got another 8,000 on top of that who see them online. So it's huge visibility.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the research process of getting all those journalist emails would be phenomenal.
Exactly, yeah. So one of the beauty of being on Pressoft is that obviously you can select your images directly from your image library. And then once they're published and once they're sent, journalists are just able to click on those images and download them straight away on Pressloft. So you're also saving them time. So you can just select different images here. You can insert your text here. So I'm just gonna, this is a demo. You can add as many elements as you want on your press release. And then add images. So you can just select again more images for your press release, depending on the range that you want to push. As we mentioned earlier, you have journalists will have all of the contact information here on your press release, and I will show that to you in a second. So once you are done creating your press release, you can see that you can enter translation. So if you wanted to send a French copy to French journalists, just you can click on that option here and then enter the translation. If you don't translate your press release, you can still send it internationally, but it will be in your own language. And then once you're ready to send your press release, you can click here. You can see that the press release has been saved automatically. And then once you're ready to send it, it will not be delivered straight away. The team is going to check your press release before being sent. So Dana and Chris are most of the time checking your press release. If they spot anything or if they have any tips, they normally reach out to you. But if you wanted some tips, you can also get in touch with us at any time. So the last part I wanted to show you is how your press release is on Pressloft. So here on the press release tab here, you can also click in here and see what has been sent to get some inspiration. So when the journalist is landing on that page, what they can do is just download your images straight away, access the information, learn more about your brand, and also reach out to you directly. So obviously saving you lots of time, saving journalists lots of time because they have all of the information in one go. Did you have anything to add on that, Nikki?
No, I think I was just going to jump in and show you a couple of examples of really nice press releases that some clients have sent, and just my sort of an explanation as to why they're good, and also some tweaks that could happen just to get that extra little bit of coverage. So lovely client here called WallSource. Can you see that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so WallSource, they did a lovely press release in October on removable Christmas wallpaper, the ultimate Christmas decorations. Absolutely fantastic, gorgeous lifestyle shots. They need lifestyle images. They can't do cutouts because they're big scenes, so it wouldn't work as a cutout. So they've absolutely nailed it with their lovely lifestyle images. They explain it beautifully. They explain each of the different types that you can get. They might want to, underneath this, explain exactly which product this one is, but because it's on Pressloft, the journalists will get that information behind that image anyway when they download. Bit more information there, some more. And then they pop the pricing all around the world per meter square. That's absolutely fine for this type of client. So super clear with contact information. They also talk about the fact that it's reusable and therefore more environmental for the customer. So yeah, all in all, fantastic press release. The only thing I would say is if they were new products, which I don't know whether they were, is to put new in that title there. And the other thing is I'm not sure whether they actually also sent it out in June, July time to hit the monthly titles. But if they only sent it out in October, they just need to realise that they would have missed out a lot of the monthly titles. But again, that may well have been a strategic decision on their PR's side of things, but just something to be aware of. And then one other I wanted to pick out, which is from the lovely company ProCook. They sent out a press release called Botanical Bamboo Tableware for Stylish Alfresco Dining. Absolutely nailed it. Botanical, big trend. Bamboo tableware tells you what it is, and alfresco dining, great for summer. They talk about the products in, you know, a lovely amount of detail, not too much, which is great. They haven't gone overboard. They've really clearly labeled which each product is outside of the lifestyle, which can sometimes be quite difficult. And obviously they've got the cutout images, which is great and versatile. And the other thing is they talked about the eco-friendly alternative to disposable picnic wear. Just brilliant press release. Again, the only other thing is timing. They may well have sent this out in April to hit the summer monthly titles, but this one was sent in July, so would have been perfect for short leads, but would have missed a bit on the long leads. So yeah, that was that.
Mm-hmm.
Those two. I mean, I could go on all day about
really lovely. Yeah,
they're really good.
Yeah.
So, and I think now we were just going to answer a couple of questions, weren't we, that come up a lot.
Some
of the clients said. So I'm just gonna, I won't put them on screen, but I'm just gonna say, so one thing that people ask is how many images should a press release have? We have done some analysis, bit surprising actually. I thought it was more than this, but the optimum number looks like it's between 4 and 6 images per press release. So, you know, slightly less than I thought. That said, the top tier ones that got the most downloads have 20 images in them. So it's just about relevance. I'm sorry, that's probably not really answering anyone's question, but statistically it says 4 to 6 seems to get you the most coverage. And it's probably because then you're not muddying your message too much. You're really focusing on one topic, delivering those great images against it. I mean, I don't know why that's necessarily 4 to 6, but that's what the data says. What else? Oh, do you chase a press release? So if you've sent a press release out and someone's downloaded an image, do you follow up and see if the journalist wants anything? I definitely wouldn't do that unless perhaps you were offering them a sample, in which case great, go for it, because you'll massively increase your chances of getting featured. Journalists get sent, you know, hundreds if not thousands of press releases a week, sorry, so they just don't have time to respond. They're not being rude, they just simply are so pushed at the moment, and especially because jobs are being cut as well, they seem to be doing twice as much work. And I think that was it. Was that the bulk of the questions?
It's chasing. We had also a few people asking for time of the day, but again, like, this is really, you know, it depends on, you know.
Yeah, for us, because we talk about in the daily summary, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference, so you don't need to worry. But personally, I mean, quite typically between 10 and 2 is probably the best sort of time to send a press release, I would say. If you're sending off Pressloft. Okay, so have we got any questions? Does anyone have any for us?
So what I will do is, after the webinar, this is all recorded, so I will send it to you afterwards, and then I will send you a link where you can just download the PDFs for the press release. So it's a checklist and then template, and then also the promo code. So I will send that to you afterwards.
Yeah, so if anyone's got any questions about press releases or anything else, first person or third person, it's really entirely up to you. It's not going to make a big difference. It's the title and the images which make the biggest difference, and the factual points of it. It's not going to make any difference to whether you get coverage or not. Good question, though. Yeah.
We had actually a couple couple questions about white background on images.
Okay. What, in terms of
how to do it? Yeah.
Okay, so
what is the software that we're using that you've been mentioning before?
So software-wise, Photoshop, but I mean, that's, you know, a more premium, very complex feature. We recommend that you just Google clipping path or images, and you'll get tons and tons of providers. Use Upwork or People Per Hour. Plenty of people that do it for next to nothing. Really worth doing and investing in. And because you can use them elsewhere. You can use them on your website and through your customer newsletters. Oh, okay. So this is a good question from Anton. If you have a wide product range, would you say it's better to focus on just a few products in one press release, or should you show the breadth of your brand? That's an absolutely brilliant question. And I would very strongly say choose a focus and try and find that hook or that angle. So a season, a new launch of a certain group of products. I think you've got a lot of products in your company, I think, from memory, Anton. So definitely choose a selection, choose one of the brands that you work with, one of the designers, and do a focus on them. Very much for you, it's going to be about looking at the trend research. So finding a key trend, tone on tone or grand millennial, or something along those lines, some sort of metallics, and doing a press release combining all the products that you have that are absolutely on the money with that. Don't go too wide, keep it focused and get to those. So if you're doing something and you've got a huge product range, you can add maybe 10 or 15 products, as long as they all really, really match to that trend. So yeah, thanks for that question. That's great. This means when exporting a file of product shots. Aggie's got a question about...
That means
so we actually host JPEGs. It's just what our journalists have always used. They use JPEGs, and then after the event, they might change them to PNG. Their art director might amend them, but on the whole, they always want those ones on a crisp white background, which means that it's been edited by you off-site, and then you put it on a clean white background, and it's exported as a JPEG, and then imported to our site as a JPEG. All a bit complex, but it works. And then most of them will just use that JPEG on a white background. If they're doing something a little bit more complex in one of the larger titles, they will do those overlays where the designer then just very quickly takes out that white background. It's just so easy for the editor to then remove the white background when it's on a pure white background than if it's on a grey or with some sort of shadowing in there.
Just wanted to clear something out about international press release and translation. So when you're sending your press release on Pressloft, if you don't have the translation, your press release is going to be sent. So let's say if it's in English and you're sending it internationally, it will be in English to everyone on a daily summary.
Just on that. So just all the journalists who've opted in to receive international press releases. It's all quite complex, but it all hinges on where you ship to or where you're based in. So that's why your international settings are absolutely key there.
Yeah. And then if you enter the translation, so let's say you're writing a press release in English and you're entering some German and French translation, your press release will be sent internationally in English, but it will be sent to Germans in German and to French in French, if that makes sense. It's all matching on the back end.
Oh, great question from Daniel here about how do you approach sending product samples? Do you send them an email asking if they would like a sample and then ask postal address? Yes. Well, on Pressloft, we don't give out the addresses anyway, but if you were doing it off Pressloft, you always would say, would you like a sample before you send them? It's just going to allow you to have a slight dialogue. If you just send a sample, there's no prerequisite for them to feature you. So what will often happen is if you just send, even to respond to a request, just automatically send a sample, then you can't say, well, will you feature it and what will you do with it, and have a nice dialogue about it. Just with influencers, you've got a bit more versatility in terms of what you can ask for. With print press, they can't guarantee coverage based on a sample. It's just unethical. They can't actually, I don't think legally they can do it. So it's going to be a bit more of a, hope and see, but still have a dialogue with them. Definitely ask them first. And then you've got this nice line of communication open, because sometimes they would definitely say no, especially the high-end journalists. If they don't want to feature it or they don't want to review it, they will just say no. And it's just saved you that money on the sampling there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any more questions before we finish up? That's okay. Anton, one more question. Do publications tend to feature images on their online assets, or is it mostly for print? Okay, yes, okay, great question. It's about whether you get to backlink in a print title as well as the print coverage. Does that make sense? So basically, do you get coverage online and print from some of these titles? It's happening more and more and more that they produce the same content in print as they do online. But it is a case-by-case basis. It's certainly not all of them. Some of them don't. I don't think Your Home has an online title yet, but they do in print. And sometimes they do different content online and print. So sometimes the Express online, they do feature everything that Victoria features, but actually then they don't publish it in print, or vice versa. Actually, normally it's the other way around. Normally what goes in print doesn't always end up online. It's a case-by-case basis, but it's getting better and better that you can actually get backlinks from them. But actually, just one thing, so I'm slightly rambling, but in terms of backlinks, not everyone will feature an actual link, a hyperlink back to your website. They might just write in the copy. It depends on their own personal house style, their own SEO decisions. But we're finding that more and more online publications are doing those very important backlinks, which is so critical for your own SEO. So we try and, you know, we're glad to see that people are really doing that now. Yeah. Okay.
Good. I think we don't have more questions, it seems like.
Yeah, no, that's it. Lovely. Okay, so I think what we're going to do now is, to everyone who's registered and attended, we're going to be sending out an email with the press release template, a checklist just so that you can quickly check that you've covered everything before you send it, and then a discount if you want to send a one-off press release if you don't already have it on your account as well. So we'll send that in the next day or so.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Well, thank you all for your time. It's been lovely to chat. And yeah, always fire us questions at info@pressoff.com anytime.
Exactly.
Thank you. Oh, it's nice to see all your messages. Lovely. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks. Bye.